So I knew how important the tape secret was to Richard Nixon. When I left the White House, nobody else knew. No new people knew, except I had Haldeman's permission while I was still there one day. I was going for a physical out at Andrews Air Force Base. They still did my physicals. I was a retired officer. And there was going to be a cabinet meeting. And I said, I need to tell. It's funny, Haldeman wouldn't do it. But, you know, Haldeman, that was a sort of a minor thing for Haldeman to be doing. So I said, may I tell Tony Sidley, my secretary, Mary Sidley, Tony Sidley, to, you didn't have to press the button under the table in the cabinet room. There was another button you could push, and it was an odd button on my phone, which had many, many buttons. It was this one down in this corner or something, you know. So I took Tony in there, and I said, look, at 2 o'clock today, don't ask any questions. Maybe someday I'll tell you, but it's not all that big a deal. Come in here, you see this button? Don't forget which button it is. See, it's the first one up and the second one over. Push that button at 2 o'clock today and just walk out. I knew I was going to be back before the cabinet. So Tony, and then I did tell her about the cabinet room. But she was one of these trusted secretaries who could work for the president, could go to Camp David and all that like the others, one of those 10. And then I got Haldeman's specific permission to tell Steve Bull before I went over to the FAA, but it was pretty close to the time of my departure, which was March 14th. And I don't think anyone else knew, other than those we mentioned, the president, and Haldeman, and Higbee, and myself, and Al Wong, and 3 Secret Service technicians who worked for him, now Tony Sidley. But then, and it was 4 months later, 4 months after I arrived at the FAA, that I ended up testifying on the tapes.